progress.
All right. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Let's quickly get started with the business session. First up, we have a very important announcement from our immediate past president, DTM Udanka. DTM Udanka, over to you.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. As an immediate past president and the chairman of the committee, I have a special announcement to do in the evening, and that's the executive committee team for the next term, January to June 2022. I'll now announce the team for the next term and kindly keep your applause to the end. Starting off with the Associate Sergeant at Arms, it's taken by Toastmaster Shiva Prasad. Sergeant at Arms is taken by Toastmaster Vaishnavi. Treasurer is taken by Toastmaster Sandeep Kumar Dalyar Singh. Secretary is taken by Toastmaster Bhavani. Associate VPPR is taken by Toastmaster Ujjwal. VPPR is taken by Sanjana Prabhanjan. VP Membership is taken by Toastmaster Gaurav. VP Education is taken by Toastmaster Spurti Reddu. And finally, the President is taken by Toastmaster Ankita Ketawat. Can we... Toastmaster Ujjwal. Okay. Can we accept this new committee with a round of applause? I request Secretary to note the same and mention it in the minutes of meeting. And the installation for this newly elected committee will be upcoming Monday, that's the January 3rd at 6:30 in Mecon premises. Back to you, President.
Thank you, DTM Udanka, for that upcoming committee announcement. We're very glad for that. The installation ceremony for the next committee will be held on Jan 3rd, that is the next Monday. The roles for the same are open, that is the Master of Ceremonies and the Table Topic Master. Interested members can kindly contact Toastmaster Ankita to nominate for their roles. Now the Sergeant can take over.
We have 4 days, 3 days, 2 days, 1 day. We'll all start with a fresh new year. And when we start, most of us will start off with a new resolution. And from past 3 years, I have only one resolution: to make myself fit and healthier. I start working on that resolution 1 day, one week, 1 month, and next after that, you can see me on my bed. Now, what exactly is stopping me here? I don't know. But in couple of meetings back, we got nice advices from our fellow Toastmasters saying that how we can do it. So let's take this as an opportunity, as we know what and how can we stick on to our resolution and make it happen this year. At least we'll try make it happen this year, so that we go one step closer to our goals or our resolutions. With that note, I have a special person with us today who made many things happen in Mecon, be it YouTube, be it hybrid, be it bringing our social media from 300 followers to more than 600 followers on Instagram. Many things to be listed on. Please put your hands together in welcoming the president of our club, Toastmaster Sai Snehal.
Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Udanka, for that warm welcome. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and no guests today. All right, let's quickly move on to the next section. Can I now request the Secretary, Toastmaster Ujjwal, to read out the minutes of the previous meeting 1141?
A very happy evening to all the Toastmasters and my dear guests, if any, present any. Minutes of meeting number 1141, hybrid and hybrid meeting held on 8th December 2021. Contest 2021. The business session started at 6:37 p.m. and was started by President Toastmaster Sai Snehal. In the business session, the following points were discussed: Vice President Education, Toastmaster Anita that all the roles are open for the next week. VPR Toastmaster Gaurav reminded the members to follow the District 121 social media accounts as a stream counts the credit towards the Hall of Fame. VPR Toastmaster Gaurav also reminded on the quarterly newsletter the theme is empowering the best you. The deadline for the article is on 20th December 2021. Immediate past President DTM Mudanka made an announcement on the nominations for the next term. Interested members can file their nominations before 9th December 2021. Area Director Toastmaster Bhavani made the following announcements. Club Officers Training Program KLI will be held in hybrid mode on 9th Jan 2022 at the Dragon College. There will be 3 contests, namely International Contest, Table Topic Contest, and Evaluation Contest in the month of Jan. The Asia Contest is on 27th March 2022. The Division C Contest is on 17th April 2022. The district finale is during the district conference on 28th and 29th May 2022. The regular meeting started at 6:39 p.m. Acting Budget Director Toastmaster Gaurav started the meeting by wishing all the participants good luck and later handed over the charge to the contest master Toastmaster Ankita. Contest master Toastmaster Ankita welcomed everyone to brief about the rules that always contest. The following were the contestants. Contestant number 1, Toastmaster Ujjwal. Contestant number 2, Toastmaster Balaji AS. Contestant number 3, Toastmaster Vaishnav Harish. Contestant number 4, Toastmaster Prakash. And contestant number 5, Toastmaster Sandeep. The table topic session was conducted by Toastmaster Lanana Murthy. Following were speakers: DTM Make Prabhakar, Toastmaster Shiva, Toastmaster Vishwapendra, and Toastmaster Gaurav. The chief judge DTM Mudanka announced the winners of the contest. The winner was Toastmaster Balaji AS and runner-up was Toastmaster Prakash. The president closed the meeting at 8:03 p.m. Thank you and over to President.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ujjwal, for that MOM update. Are there any amendments to the MOM? Okay, if not, I shall consider that as accepted and I open meeting 1142. Your life is what you make it. The choices you make are the situations, or the situation that you have been in the past is what leads to the present right now. What life you're living right now, the relationship around you, your happiness, your sadness, everything is based on the choices that you make. That is what you make it happen. Around 2 months ago, when a couple of us from the executive committee took a very conscious decision to come back to hybrid meetings, it seemed very easy on paper, but the difficulty was ahead of us. With the technology and the availability of resources that we had to make the best use of it. Problems after problems. At a point, we decided that we should stop hybrid meeting and go back to online because it's very difficult for us to continue with that form of meeting. But we did not. Because we knew we could make it happen somehow. After over 2 months of hard work of Toastmaster Udang, Toastmaster Gaurav, and others, we are finally here today without any hiccups. We are holding a hybrid meeting. That is what you make things happen. That is how things happen. When I was just 15 years old, I joined a cycling group called Go Green, Go Cycling. Me and my friend, who were the youngest members of the entire club, there's an endurance ride one day, and we all went. The initial plan was to ride one way and transport the cycles back while coming. Me and my friend didn't want to go back in the truck with them. Firstly, because there was no space in the truck. Second, we wanted to cycle back to see if we really could make that happen. 65 kilometers was the distance from there to our house, and took us over 6 hours, only because we're just kids and we were already tired one way there. But we knew we had the willpower and the determination to go forward. This made us go forward and we made it happen. Let me tell you another example, or rather another story. A fellow member of our club who made the maximum use of the lockdown. He attended clubs ranging from 6 a.m. in the morning to 12 p.m. in the night across the globe. He gave his speeches everywhere on a quest to complete his DTM journey. And today, his DTM Udanka. In life, we are all given an opportunity. Sometimes these opportunities may not be as we think they are, but how you use your mind and what you act to these situations is what makes things happen. If you believe yourself that you can do it, you can. And this should be how everybody should work, and you will take things forward and make them happen. Moving on, let me introduce to you the master ceremonies for today. A young lad who is very dedicated and passionate towards Toastmasters. He joined with his father a couple of years ago, rather 1 or 2 years ago. But ever since then, he gives his 100% to every role that he takes up. A very enthusiastic kid, and also the current secretary of our club. He's completed his BCom from Transcend College, and currently he's preparing for his CAT exams. He's also a chess player, and also he does Bharatanatyam. Multi-talented. Please welcome the Master of Ceremonies for today, Toastmaster Ujjwal, with a huge round of applause.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sai Snehal, for such a lovely introduction. Actually, to be frank, I was emotionally blackmailed by our Ankita to take up MC, since she said that it is the last meeting of Sai's term, and I really didn't feel like telling no. I'm really honored to be introduced by you, Sai, for the one last time. A very happy evening to all the fellow Toastmasters. In the month of October, something disastrous happened. If I'm not wrong, the whole India was in shock. The Mother India has lost one of its precious diamond, I would say. I guess by now you all would have known about whom I'm talking about. Yes, it is none other than our beloved power star, Puneet Rajkumar. Now you all will be wondering how he is connected to this theme, right? The best lesson I have learned by this human, by saying this, I mean it. I mean, see, each actor has his own fan following for his acting skills. But that was not the case with Appu, right? He was not just famous for his acting. He also won the people's heart. And what else a human needs in his life other than this, right? This is a true blessing. I hope you all understood what I meant. So the best lesson I learned from him was that life is very short. So don't postpone your work for the next day, because the next day we don't know whether we will be alive or not. And I think his death is a typical example to understand that life is so unpredictable. So my dear Toastmasters, let us stop procrastinating things and start living our life. If you want to make it happen, do it right now. You have got 24 hours a day and use every bit of it wisely. All I want to convey through this theme is your confidence on yourself makes it happen. Your faith on your work makes it happen. Your dedication towards the goal makes it happen. Your hard work on your dreams makes it happen. And your love towards the life makes it happen. So, my dear Toastmasters, it's all in your hands to make anything happen. In life, there are three kinds of people. Some want it to happen, some wish it would happen, and others make it happen. So you choose for which one you belong to. In the similar manner, one of the greatest personalities who actually made it happen and with a great foresight was Ralph C. Smedley, who started Toastmasters in 1924 at YMCA Santana, California. He believed that people would develop on public speaking and leadership and meet similar people with a positive and uplifting attitude. Today, the organization membership exceeds 356,000 in 143 countries, serving through 16,800 member clubs, and one such club is Mekong Communication Club, which started in the year 1st May 1999. A typical Toastmaster meeting consists of three sessions. Number one, the prepared speech session, where the speakers get time to prepare for a speech on a subject of their choice as per the guidelines of their manual. Number two, the table topic session, where speakers are chosen randomly and given a topic to which they have to respond immediately. And number three, the general evaluation session. This is a session where the speakers and the proceedings of the meeting will be evaluated and the feedback will be given. For an effective meeting, we have few role takers. As and when I call upon the names, I request all the role takers to explain their roles. Firstly, timer, Toastmaster Arundas.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. So today, being a timer, I will note down the time taken by all the speakers, and I will also display green, amber, and red card at the appropriate intervals. For prepared speeches, it is 5 minutes green card and 6 minutes yellow, and 7 minutes for red card. And table topic sessions, for 1 minute, I will be displaying green card, and 1.5 minute yellow, and 2 minutes red card. I will present my report at the end of the meeting. Thank you.
Can I have the accounter to explain his role?
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. The purpose of our counter is to make note of all the overused words and also the crutch words during the speaker. The overused words or the crutch words that can be as or repeated words such as and, so, or pauses during the speech. I'll be making note of all of these. I'll give my report during the general evaluation when called upon. Thank you, and back to the master.
Now let us call the PP evaluator to explain his role.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. As the PP evaluator for today, I would request all of you to refrain speaking about sex, religion, and politics. And for the offline audience, I request you to keep your phone on silent and move around or leave the room only during an applause. For the online audience, keep your video on at all times and keep muted at all times unless called upon. Thank you, and back to James.
Last but not the least, grammarian for the day. Can you explain your role?
As the grammarian for today, I will be making note of the good usages and not so good usages made by all the speakers during the meeting. And I would encourage all of you to use the word of the day, which is ineffable, meaning too great or extreme to be expressed in words. usage in the English language would be the joy I experienced witnessing the majestic ocean was ineffable. I will give my report at the end of the meeting. Back to the MC.
All right. Thank you, role takers, for explaining your roles. Let's make it a great meeting. Moving on to the first session for the day, the prepared speech session. We have two speakers for today. Before I call upon the first speaker, I would like to call the Indian Book of Record holder, D.T. Mudanka, for being the youngest distinguished Toastmaster to read out the project guidelines.
Good evening once again. The purpose of this project is for a member to deliver a speech with awareness of intentional and unintentional body language, as well as to learn, practice, and refine how he or she uses non-verbal communication while delivering a speech. All the best to the speaker, and back to you, MC.
Thank you, D.T. Mudanka. The speaker is a BCom graduate. He has a professional experience in cost accounts with a work experience in administration and agency in electrical field for 19 years and financial services agency for 15 years. He is a certified lay counselor. Now he is currently pursuing paralegal course at IGNOU. His hobbies include reading books, cooking, and doing meditation. The speaker is attempting level 2, project 2 with the speech title Teacher and Pupil. So please help me to welcome Toastmaster Vijay Upendra with a huge round of applause.
Thank you very much, Ujjwal, for your wonderful introduction. We all remember teachers, not for the subject they taught. It is for the transformation that they brought in us. Good evening, Toastmasters. Saturday came, Sunday came, Monday came. Teacher Padma entered the classroom and said, "Love you all." She knew she is lying. Tuesday, she entered again and said, "Love you all." She knew she is lying. She was indifferent towards one particular child because he was unkept and untidy. His name is Peter. She used to take his name for example for all negative reasons. Term ended. While writing the progress report, she took the progress report of Peter and wrote, "She is unfit to be a student. He should be thrown out of the school." There was a system in the school. Headmistresses used to countersign all the progress report written by teachers. Headmistress saw the progress report of Peter and said, and called the teacher Padma and asked, "Progress report should have some progress about a child, but you have written a negative progress report. What is this?" Teacher said, "I can't do anything with reference to that child." Immediately, headmistress called administrative staff. They brought old progress reports. Peter's third standard progress report said, "He is a bright student. He is very lively." Fourth progress report said that He is very dull because his mother is suffering from cancer. Fifth standard progress report said Peter lost mother. He lost himself too. Desperately, he needs attention. Otherwise, we lose this child also. Padma was in tears. She told headmistress, I know what to do. Next day, she entered classroom. She said, I love you all. But this time, the love and affection towards Peter was far more greater. Year ended. All children, they gave presents to teacher. Peter, he also brought present, wrapped in a wrapper paper, gave it to teacher. She opened the wrapper and the paper. Half-used perfume was there, and a bracelet that was also there. She opened. 2 stones fell down. Entire class laughed. Teacher wore the bracelet and she put over all entire perfume. Half smiling, ineffable Peter told, you smell like my mother. And he also told, last time this perfume was used, my mother was before her death. And the bracelet was taken out of her body before laying her into rest. Year passed. There was a letter on the table of the teacher Padma. I have seen many teachers in my life. You are the best teacher I have ever seen, Peter. Years rolled. They lost contact. One fine day, postman delivered a cover to teacher Padma. She opened it and saw, you are the best teacher I have ever seen. And there was written by Peter stating that he is getting married. He cannot imagine without her presence, marriage could happen. 2 flight tickets were enclosed. Your presence is very important. Treat this as a personal invitation. Teacher could not resist. She went to the venue. She was about to occupy last row. Someone identified and told her, this is not the seat. You will have to go to the front side. She reached the front side. There was a seat mentioned, mother. Peter came and asked her to sit in that particular seat. After wedding ceremony, Peter introduced teacher Padma to his newly wedded wife. Because of her, I am something today. Meet Padma, the mother. Ladies and gentlemen, some of you are teachers here. Next time, when you enter class, think of one period waiting for you. Bring that necessary transformation. Thank you, and back to you. End of the day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Vijayapendra, for telling such a meaningful story, I would say. Now, moving on to the second and also the last speaker for today, I would like to invite the humorous king of our club, TTM Amubert, to read out the project guidelines.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, am I visible and audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. This is a level 3 elective 1, and it is about connecting with storytelling. The purpose of this project is for the member to practice using a story within a speech or giving a speech that is a story by itself. Is a speech length 5 to 7 minutes. Back to you, sir.
Thank you, DTM Ambibert. The speaker is graduated from Bangalore Medical College. Our profession is obstetrician and gynecologist. Happy mothers and healthy babies is her purpose in life. Her interests include music, reading, and yoga. And she strongly believes that attitude matters everywhere. The speaker is attempting level 3 elective 1 with a speech title, The Day Which Made Me a Better Human Being. So please help me to welcome the charming lady of our club who uses her sweet voice as her strength, Toastmaster Dr. Arundhati, with a special round of applause.
How many of you think that the title of my speech is too long? I definitely think so. Good evening, my dear fellow Toastmasters. This particular story happened in my life in the year 1998. I was working in a medical college as a lecturer and I was expected to do duties in KC General Hospital, Maleshwaram. You may be knowing, my friends, KC General Hospital is a great contributor to our population. I was supposed to work between 2 p.m. and 9 a.m. and in those 19 hours, I used to supervise or conduct about 25 deliveries, 5 to 6 cesarean sections, and 8 to 10 admissions. I was given one postgraduate student and one intern along with 2 experienced staff nurses to assist me. That particular day, as soon as I stepped into the hospital, I got a phone call from my postgraduate student. She said, "Ma'am, my baby is not keeping well. It's very difficult for me to do duty. If you say yes, I'll stay home." She was almost in tears. I did not want to say yes because of the workload, but still I heard me saying yes. Probably I wanted to exhibit some generosity or feel good about myself. But the seed of frustration started growing within me. Later, I was doing rounds with my intern, Dr. Satyajit. In no time, I realized that my expectations about his support and help was highly unrealistic because he was least interested in the subject. At one point of time, I just shouted at him, "Doctor, if you're not interested in the subject, why don't you take permission from the head of the department and stay home? Why do you come here and make my life miserable?" My duty continued. My frustration went on increasing as the workload increased. Around 8 o'clock, I was about to have my dinner in the duty room. Dr. Satyajit came running. "Ma'am, there is a patient with fits." I could sense that this may be a case of eclampsia, which is a combination of pregnancy, high blood pressure, and convulsions. Yes, I was right. I ran to the labor room, took emergency measures to bring down her blood pressure and control her convulsions. My next job was to talk to the attendants and take consent for emergency cesarean section because baby was alive and that is the only measure to save her. I went out and shouted for her attendant. After screaming 4 or 5 times, there came an old lady slowly and stood before me. I asked her, "How are you related to this patient?" To my surprise, she said, "I'm her neighbor." Oh my God. I continued. "See, we have to do an emergency operation now. We need at least 3 bottles of blood and some emergency medicines. You have to arrange for all that." While I was explaining, there was a clear blank expression on her face which revealed that nothing is possible. My anger, my frustration, could find a channel now, and I started screaming at her. How can you be so irresponsible in bringing this critical patient to the hospital all alone? What are we supposed to do now? I went on and on and on. At one point of time, I had a realization. If I call this lady irresponsible, what about this lady? Without any social, physical, financial support, she has brought another patient to the hospital just to give life to her. I am in a position, so-called well-educated, I am in a position to help others. How can I let out my frustration like this? This enlightenment made me stop abruptly, and I made my way back to the labor room and sat like this. My stress levels were off the roof. After a couple of minutes, I could hear Dr. Satyajit. Ma'am, tell me what to do. Let us somehow help this lady. At that time, I considered him as my only support and started opening up to him. See, doctor, we need 3 bottles of blood at least. Who is there to get blood? With great enthusiasm, Satyajit told, Ma'am, I have so many friends of mine. Let us do something for this lady. You please give me 3 hours time. At around 11:30 in the night, we were all set ready for the surgery. At around 2 o'clock, when I saw the smiling mother and crying baby, I was overwhelmed with infinite joy. I called Dr. Satyajit and told him, sorry for shouting at you, doctor. Maybe you don't know much about the subject, but learning subject is not great. If you put in some more hours of effort into the subject, anybody can learn. But your commitment and the intensity of involvement you had during that difficult time was amazing. Thank you very much. Our neighbors at times can be really irritating by giving unsolicited advices. However, at difficult times, definitely they are of help. Like my patient's neighbor. We should always appreciate this and feel proud of this part of our culture. That particular night, my intern and the neighbor of my patient taught me very precious lessons which helped me to become a better person. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Arundhati, for such a heart-warming speech, I would say, and I was able to connect well with your speech. Moving on to the second session, the most exciting and horror session, the table topic session. Today's table topic master is my mentor, who is a support system for me. He always pushes me to come out of my comfort zone and helps me to take up new roles each time. This sweet person is a mechanical engineer by qualification. He is a Toastmaster since 2012, and he is a member of 2 clubs, that is Mekon Communication Club and BTM Toastmasters Club. He has also completed effective coaching and pathways mentoring, and currently he is a club extension chair of District 121 and a club coach as well. So please put your hands together and welcome DTM Subramaniam with a huge round of applause.
Thank you for that very energetic introduction, Toastmaster Ujjwal. Good evening, my fellow Toastmasters and guests. I am here to play the role of Table Topics Master. And Table Topics session is one such session wherein it readies us for holding any conversation. For example, for those of you who are working in corporate world, it helps you to be ready for your appraisal discussion with your supervisor. Or for those who are married, it will help you to be ready with quick witty responses to your spouse. So with that, can I share my screen? Just a moment. Yeah, just a moment, I think. So I would like to invite DTM Mudanka as first speaker. Hello? DTM Mudanka, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
DTM Mudanka, the topic for you is nothing happens until you decide to make it happen. Nothing happens until you decide to make it happen. DTM Mudanka.
Thank you for that topic, table topic master. Good evening, friends. Nothing happens until you decide to make it happen. As I told in my sergeant runs, until we decide or until we take one step ahead to go and complete our resolution, it will never happen. So that was one small example I gave you, that until we decide to make that particular thing happen, we have to do it. For instance, say I want to take that water bottle, I just think in my mind it will never happen. I have to go there, pick it myself, and then it will move. So that exactly how we have to make it happen. It's not. This was one tiny example what I gave. Only magicians can move it without actually going there and without making it happen. They can only do it. But it's not only with these small decisions you make, but in the large or the big decisions what you make in life. That is the essential things. For example, say I want to be a big person or a rich person in my future. And unless until I work on those goals, I work on my profession, I don't think so I can be rich or I can feel rich. So I have to go myself, study, I have to go myself, do the work there, and I have to get richer, right? So unless until we do something for us, for sure nothing will happen. Back to table topic master.
Thank you, DTM Mudanka, for that very thoughtful response. Yes, I think we all can agree with DTM Mudanka that it's in our own hands. For if we want to achieve something, it's in our own hands, and until we do something about it, we cannot make our dreams come true. So, with that, uh, can I invite DTM MU Bhatt as my second speaker?
Yes, sir.
Sir, for the topic for you is when I hear someone say life is hard, I'm always tempted to ask, compared to what? When I hear someone say life is hard, I'm always tempted to ask, compared to what? DTM MU Bhatt.
Mr. Table Topic Master, fellow Toastmasters. We always hear people grumbling. I don't know what is happening. Corona is killing one. The prices have gone up. Life has become really hard. I don't know what is happening, what our prime minister is doing. We are always full of complaining that life is hard. We think that the life is hard for us alone or me alone. But the fact remains, which he probably does not know, that life is what it is. Whether it is hard or soft or whatever you call it, ultimately life goes on. It's all depends on how you take it. So when somebody says life is hard, you should always be, you are tempted to ask, compared to what? Compared to your last year, or you are compared to someone else? Always the problem is we always compare ourselves with the other person. The real what is happening is the life is greener always on the other side, and we think others are happy, but everyone has got his own problems, their own way of looking at things, and they tackle it. So just comparing ourselves and thinking that our life only is hard is something is meaningless in my opinion. We should always think that we should take life as it comes to, and there is nothing called hard or anything. We have to tackle whatever problems we face. Life is whatever will come to us, we should accept it in our stride and do whatever best we can do. No point in comparing with others or just grumbling that we only are the suffering or we are the made scapegoat of that. It's not that. It's all up to us to make it life meaningful and happier by just the changing our attitude towards life or attitude towards difficulties, whatever we face. That will be my take on this. Back to you, Mr. Table Topic.
Thank you, DTM MU Bhatt, for very thoughtful and insightful response. Yes, I think one important thing which we can all, one of the most important lessons which we can all learn is whenever we face whether any difficulty or whether we face any happiness, I think we should maintain our feelings without affecting our motivation to continue. So in a way, instead of grumbling while others have it easy, we have it difficult. I think we can just compare to say that duck which is in the water, in fact, even just to stay floating, it has to keep on moving its feet, which is invisible to us. So only we know. Instead of complaining about others, only those who are facing the difficulty, only they know that, what they are going through. So with that, can we have a round of applause for DTM MU Bhatt? So with that, I would like to invite my next volunteer, Toastmaster Shiva Prasad. Toastmaster Shiva Prasad, just a moment. The topic for you is, if you want the rainbow, you got to put up with the rain. If you want the rainbow, you got to put up with the rain. Toastmaster Shiva Prasad.
Thank you for that wonderful topic, DTM Subramanian. If you want the rainbow, you have to put up with the rain. It basically means no pain, no gain, or as in Kannada we say, kai kesaradare paimose. So basically, if you want to build your body, you have to go to the gym, struggle hard, 6 months, 2 years. You have to show up every day and eat healthy, and only then it happens. If you want to become an engineer, doctor, CA, you have to put in the hours, or else it's not going to happen. So yeah, that is my take on the topic. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Shiva Prasad, for responding to the table topic. Yes, I think unless we start doing something about our own dreams, we can't reach for heaven. So with that, let us applaud Toastmaster Shiva Prasad for his attempt at table topics. Next, I would like to invite Toastmaster Sai Snehal. Toastmaster Sai Snehal, the topic for you is, if others can do it, let them do it. If others can do it, let them do it. Toastmaster Sai Snehal.
Table topic master, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I was recently having a conversation with one of my friends who resides in the US. He told me, or rather he mentioned very subtly, Indians have a very crab mentality. People don't let others do what they want. They try to impose their own wishes and their own dreams on the other person to do what they want them to do. It's quite the opposite in US. That's what at least he has to say. People rather encourage you to do what you want to do. He was in a very tough phase during his masters, and he had lost all hope. He approached one of his professors in the college, and his professors, without a second thought, not just helping him, but gave him all the material and resources that he needed so that he could complete his master's. Because his professor could not do it. He saw the potential in this guy, my friend Kaushik, and he rather helped him to become what he always wanted to become. He completed his master's, and till today, is indebted to his professor in college. That is all. That is what we all need to have. If we think somebody can do it, let us push them to make sure that they can do it. Because if he can do it, let him do it. Thank you, and back to the table topic.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sai Snehal, for sharing a one very thoughtful response on the table topic. In fact, the reason why I chose this particular topic for today's session was we always hear about the mindset of Japanese people, why they are number one in whatever they do. If someone else can do it, even so can I. So with that, on a lighter note, we always think that if someone else can do it, let them do it. So thank you for keeping it a serious response. And in fact, I was looking at a witty response from you. So with that, can we have a big round of applause for Toastmaster Sai Snehal? And next, can I have Toastmaster Raghunandana?
Hello.
Hello, Toastmaster Raghunandana, can you hear me?
Sorry, sir, I did not.
Would you like to be the next tabletop speaker?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just a moment. I will share my screen. Toastmaster Raghunandana, the topic for you is creativity is a wild mind and a disciplined eye. Creativity is a wild mind and a disciplined eye. Toastmaster Raghunandana.
Creativity is a wild mind and disciplined eye. It is because creativity is all about an individual's ability. So when individual's ability is strong and good with a good perception, it should be with a good eye. So creativity is within a disciplined eye. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Raghunandana. Can we have a big round of applause for Toastmaster Raghunandana? Next, can I invite DTM A.K. Prabhakara? Sir, the topic for you is, if you want to make God laugh, tell him about future plans. If you want to make God laugh, tell him about future plans. DTM A.K. Prabhakara.
Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. If you want to make God laugh, tell him about future plans. In fact, it's a very tricky kind of topic But I'm reminded of what one Sripadaraya, the Kannada poet, has put across as a kirtana in one of his beautiful lines. He says, Ada pogona baro ranga, kudi yamuna tiradal. He's calling, somebody is calling Ranga, the great god. Let's go and play in Yamuna Tira. There he brings in two stories, one from Ramayana in the next two stanzas, another from Mahabharata. One he says to Rama, let's go. There is a place where the boy is there in place and Sita is going to be wedded and she has to choose, or you have to choose in case you were to break that or put the bow in place, putting the right kind of thing, the thread. In case you were to win, you will win. There is something else waiting for you there. Let us go there. Who is telling this? The next one, Mahabharata, in another stanza he picks up. He says, let us go and play Pandavaru Kauravara jotege Jujata naditide. Alli hogana. Why? There is going to be unfolding another big drama. Let us go and see what happens. There, it is not God being laughing at the situation that is coming in. Even the destiny has even God doesn't know what his destiny is going to play out. God doesn't really watch all these things happen. It is destiny that plays its role in this. There's a science behind this kind of thing, a speculation. Edward and Lawrence, one of the person for economic Nobel that never happened. But he came up with a theory that is very, very profound, that how destiny plays out and whether you will laugh or God will laugh is not clear. And he says, he gives a title of the speech later on after going through many other things, that if the butter flies, the butter flutters in Brazil, will there be a tornado in Florida? That is the reason. If you see, 50 odd soldiers, Indian soldiers died in Siachen because there was a snow falling over them. It's a minor change that brought about huge change. A minor change in stock market somewhere, it brings about a crash. Oh, we all think that there's a bull, there's a Russia bull, and there's a whole lot of stuff happening. So who plays out this role? Is it God or is it the situation, the flying flutter of a butterfly? We do not know. Pandavaru Kauravalige Judadali Sotaran. Let's go and play there. Even God doesn't know. We cannot laugh at God. God doesn't laugh at us. It's the situation. Edward and Lawrence theory, even today, is the one based on which stock market works. The uncertainty of stock market works. That's the mathematics. I don't want to explain that in this 2-minute speech. But God doesn't laugh. We don't laugh. We are only part of the big play called destiny. And that is why God is created only Ranganatha, the one who plays in this platform called world. Over to table topic, master.
Thank you for your insightful response, DTM Meke Prabhakara. Can you have a big round of applause for DTM Meke Prabhakara? With that, I have one last topic. Can I invite Toastmaster Arun Das? Toastmaster Arun Das, are you ready?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah. Toastmaster Arun Das, the topic for you is not how long, but how well you have lived is the main thing. Not how long, but how well you have lived is the main thing. Toastmaster Arun Das.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. Thank you, Topic Master, for this opportunity. It's obviously, we all agree, it's not about how long we all lived. It's rather how well we lived. So I, being an insurance person, I would actually again quote the basic principle of insurance here. So most of you would know. So living too early is one risk which we all know. So that is something which we insure under life insurance. And there is also one principle which none of your insurance agents or anybody wouldn't have told you. Living too long is also a risk in insurance. Living too long is obviously a risk. So obviously your income will stop coming, and we are witnessing the pandemic right now, and there are various health issues which would come. So obviously your cost of medical expenditure and your other expenditure would go, but your income would stop coming down. That is just one thing I thought I just quote here, which is not too many people. Obviously, we all will agree. Living well is also another fact. It's not about just living. So I always believe, so we are here, we should make a difference. Like whatever we are doing, whatever, irrespective of the profession, irrespective of whatever we do, in each area what you're into, what you're doing right now, so please do make a difference. So tomorrow somebody is coming and seeing you, so should definitely remember so and so was there, he was doing so and so thing. And we should always turn every stone unturned. That's all. Thank you, and back to the master, table topic master.
Thank you, Toastmaster Arun, for bringing that interesting perspective from insurance perspective. And yeah, I think at least we learnt something new from your response today about living life well. And thank you very much for sharing that perspective. So with that, can we have a big round of applause for Toastmaster Arun? Uh, this concludes the table topics, whatever topics I had. I hope that all the speakers and the listeners had a lot of fun hearing the speakers speak about table topics. So with that, I would like to hand it over back to Toastmaster Ujjwal.
Thank you, DTM Subramaniam, for magnificently conducting the table topic session. Let us give him a thunderous round of applause. Now let us have a short networking break for 10 minutes. Now the time is 7:40. Let us come back at 7:50. Vijay Upadhyaya sir, are everyone back in the offline meeting? All right. Can I start? All right. Welcome back, everybody. Coming to the most important session for the day, the general evaluation session. Today's general evaluator is a project engineering consultant. He is a general manager of Mecon Limited. He heads the Electronic and Automation Committee, the coordinator of Human Resource Development and the Knowledge Management Systems. He is a founder member and third president of Mecon Communication Club, a DTM, the treasurer of MCC for 8 whole terms and VPM for 2 terms. His interests lie in science. His interests lie in science and technology. FIETE, which is Fellow of Institution of Electronics and Telecommunication Engineers, member Bangalore Science Forum. His educational awards include CCNCL, ACB, and ALB, ACS, ACG, and Leadership Excellence, and ATM. Today's general evaluator is taking up this general evaluation for 104th time. Oh my God, that's really huge. So please put your hands together and welcome the king of our club, DTM AK Prabhakara, with a thunderous round of applause. Over to you, DTM AK Prabhakara. The stage is all yours.
Am I audible and visible?
Yes, sir.
Fellow Toastmasters, and of course, we have no guests. I'll give 20 seconds to give it still on. Okay, all right. We'll the ballot is being uploaded. As soon as it's uploaded, I'll give 20 seconds for giving your the best performance opinion there. Register it there. This meeting, it was something like first time I was in front of, I was in a TV studio, I felt like. This is an unusual feeling. This is the first hybrid meeting that I'm attending in spite of being in Toastmasters for over 23 years. And still I feel a little strange. Only a few people sitting in front of me and I speaking to somebody or nobody feeling. But yet it makes sense when I heard 2 brilliant speeches today and table topics which were very profound in nature. And of course, the theme itself being something very, very special. The total meeting somewhat was of the higher order, I would say. On the whole, the feeling I got was that one of something that I have heard, attended, it was worth my while or everybody's while. That's the sum total of the meeting. And I feel that the hybrid meeting, it didn't take any value out of the Toastmasters meeting. the value that it brings to the members. Having made that remark, let me take to the individual performers of the day, starting with Sergeant at Arms, Udanka. Udanka started by saying about the taking his own opinion on the theme of the day, making it happen. And he was short to the point, and he didn't take any time. He gave a kickstart. Only thing is that he should be a little slower and show less anxiety about releasing of the words. If he maybe mentally he makes more preparation. It's called sub-vocalization. You have to plan in your mind, speak in your mind without even bringing out the sound. And when you come, release that as calmly as possible. So there are other how to calm that technique that I will speak some other time. But he gave a kickstart the way it is required under less than a minute. Let's give him a thunderous round of applause for that performance. The meeting, business meeting, was started maybe without much of a ado, the kind of razzmatazz that is required, but in a very matter-of-fact way. And one announcement was made by the chairman of the selection committee for the next one, that is again DTM Udanka. He made the announcement as required in a very precise way, and it was all accepted. The next meeting is going to be one for the next installing the next set of officers, and that was announced by the president. And all it showed was that the way it should happen, it is being rolled out. It gave the feeling that everything is in the right place and system is working well. That kind of assurance was there when he spoke that this term is over, the next one is going to be from January 3rd, new committee will take over. One thing that is to be made a I want to make it as a point that minutes of the meeting should ensure that this particular announcement is recorded under this particular minutes of the meeting of this meeting, especially the announcement with respect to the new committee. It should never be lost out in the process. The very first way it is to be put across, it has to be hammered home, and it is serves as a record. Then the business meeting proceeded further with the president speaking on the topic, making it happen. Whenever I hear president, I feel very assured. It's always the way he speaks is very assuring, not only to the in all the entire audience. It is very assuring, perhaps to himself also, that he speaks so well, and his confidence shows in his speeches, because he's always, whatever he says is backed up by one or two anecdote stories, either from personal life or one that is outside known to everybody. And that's how, and it has got typical opening body conclusion, and he repeatedly does that. And something that I thought was a kind of benchmark that he has set for others to follow. And that's what he never let me let anybody down in the process. He was the flag bearer of the Mekong Communication Club. I want to make that point as far as the speeches of the presidential speeches is concerned. And he deserves a special thunderous round of applause for holding up the Mekong Communication Club. He talked of making things happen. And he gave the example of hybrid meeting, how technical things were overcome with a team. Not only that's how a leader speaks about. He doesn't speak of himself. He was in the midst of the problems, and he was taking the names of others who enabled, helped in the process. That is the hallmark of a leader. He showed that leadership ability also and put that across in his speech. This is what, as a special mention, I wanted to make. Then Toastmaster Ujjwal, the young one, the energetic, sincere person that we have, 2 or 3 very young persons, he took over. And what I realized is that something special about it, that he made a point, dedication to the goal is the one that can make things happen. That's just one line that I remember. But something I noticed in the process, that was that he's perhaps the language has fallen in place as he has spoken more and more number of times I have seen, and his gestures have come in place. It is automatic. He should watch his video tomorrow about gestures, how naturally it has fallen in place. I have noticed several such things. I'll just bring it out to your notice. And he did a very, very good job of very coolly announcing how the Toastmaster came about and theme that he really believes the way it is. And it was all in place. And he did a nice job. Today morning, he asked me about my introduction. I said, must check with the website. Because the reason I told is that the people should, members should know that there is a website, there is introduction there, you don't have to ask. And this is one thing I wanted to point out in the process to everybody. It's not that I want to point out towards which one, but it's a general point I wanted to make. But it was a very wonderful, he has done a wonderful job and without taking much of time from others, let's give him a resounding round of applause as usual. I would like to have evaluation of the first speech, speaker one, and the evaluator is DTM Udanka. Prior to that, I would like you all to give your ballot opinion in the ballot, so that you are not at all prejudiced by the evaluator's evaluation. So I invite Udanka, and after 20 seconds, you can straight away start.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and my target speaker, Toastmaster Vijay. I'll be evaluating your speech in 3 parts. The things you went well, the things you need to focus on, the things you need to challenge on. So starting off with the good points, that the thing which you excelled at. First thing, you had hand gestures. You had so many hand gestures, it was brilliant to see them. So for each and every word you explained, you had a hand gesture. For example, you said, they came, liked everyone. So you had for each and every word what you were expressing, you had a hand gesture. One thing you stood well there. Second thing, you had a story to engage us. While you were giving out a speech, you had a story within your speech, which you were narrating, which told us the audience interest. That was really good. Second, third, you had a proper opening. You first said it was Saturday, next thing Sunday. So I was curious as what will happen on Monday, but you said Monday came, Tuesday went. Now I was too much curious enough where is this leading to? So that curiousness when the opening was really good to have the audience interest, and few places you had a proper pause. Well, for example, when Peter said, "You smell like my mother," you had a small, tiny pause there. That was really needed. Even we could feel that expression or the emotions, what was running in Peter's mind because of that pause. That were the things you excelled at. So coming at to the points where you can improve on. So initially you were conscious enough, so you were looking for both online and offline audience. But gradually, what happened? You just focus on the online offline audience, and you forgot that there was a camera in front of you, and there are participants sitting there listening out video. And third, next point where you can see working is the voice modulation. Throughout the speech, you had a single voice, while and you were narrating a story. If you're narrating a story, a little higher, when you said again, you smell like Peter, you had the same tone like how you introduced the ledger. You could have told it in a very low pitch. You smell. That small or low pitch of voice would have really got more attention of the audience. Now coming to the points where you can challenge yourself, I would have not told this point if either of us would have been in the online audience, but as we both are online, you had a lightly lagging of your speech. There were some pauses where it was not required, and many points where you gave pauses for thinking and then express. So that there was it was like lagging the speech, how we experience it online. That if you could improve on, it would be really great. And second point where you can improve on is the hand gesture. As I told you, had very much clear hand gestures with your expressions. And there were hand gestures where it was not required. I think that was the intentional hand gesture which you were prepared for. So that it could be awarded, it would be really good. Now coming to the project guidelines, there were two project guidelines. One, for me to observe your intentional or unintentional hand gestures and body movement that you really did well. And the second part of the project required to explain how you were using non-intentional or non-verbal communication gestures. So if you could have explained that in your speech, it would be that was the project call of your second part. With that, you have delivered a very good speech. All the best for your next speeches and active general evaluation.
That was an excellent evaluation. He had covered the entire range. What Jassy, what I call, that is what you excelled at and what you can challenge yourself, what you can work upon. He has mentioned everything. Quality wise, it was not only that, he suggested some ways to get over, like change of voice. The simple idea behind any generating body language or gestures is to incorporate dialogue. Peter, I'm fed up with you. Something like that. So it comes naturally. So Peter, I'm fed up with you. Or when the teacher is called to the headmistress says, take a look at his earlier report cards. So and one thing that I noticed, all said and done, your speech was marvelous. It was riveting. I followed it word to word, and the way I fully understood. And there was certain rhythm to your delivery, and that makes audience stick to what you want to say. And that is your strength. Keep it up. And words are always measured as when you speak. These are your strength. You don't have to work upon it. Work on the weakness. That's what he has told. And let's give a round of applause to both the speaker and the evaluator. Next speech, the speaker, Dr. Arundhati Herle. The speech was is going to be evaluated by DTM MU Bhatt. DTM MU Bhatt, please.
Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and Toastmaster Arundhati Herle in particular. Madam, one thing about you I find is each time you come in front of the lectern, you bring us an amazing story based on personal anecdote. Today you didn't disappoint. In fact, today was your storytelling itself was the topic. So you chose to, this topic calls for either an established story about your life, or a fictional tale. Some of this thing is that what you call reflection. Echo is echoing. Echo is there. Okay, it's all right. So the established story about your life or a fictional tale, you chose to do based on your own life, which is always been your forte. And your story today, you take it and you did an amazing job with that. The story had all the elements of a story which had to have. It had setting, it had characters like the doctor and that lady and that her assistant and another lady who is coming to you, a minor character, and there was conflict. And finally, the resolution of the conflict. So all the elements of a story were there, but where you really scored points was the way you presented the story. It had your own personal, you're developed by now your personal style of your own, where you tell the story from your heart, where the way it happened, very nicely delivered. With the major thing at your advantage was your vivid description today by expressive dialogues. You brought about the dialogue of a lady coming with that baby, then about that other that doctor who's talking about, and that another lady who has come with all the complaints. All this we brought about dialogue there, and we brought about so nicely. And another thing was it had that emotional impact on the audience. The story itself had a great emotional impact. That is one thing which I found really great about this. And the way there was some amount of what you call the conflict resolution, how you reflected, the bottom line, what I find in this story was you are reflecting on your own actions, and which made you change your perceptions about how people are, what people can behave, how a person should behave. And that's what made you better human being. That's what I felt, and it came about very well. Having said that, could you have done something more for taking the speech to a higher level? Nothing in particular per se, but okay, this storytelling can be taken as a performance by itself, as that manual itself says. How to make it as a performance? Maybe you can, bring your. I've been finding that you have always been underplaying your own personality. Maybe you should become a bit more flamboyant, and maybe a bit more dramatics in probably explaining that situation in the labor room, or that some pacing in telling how the situation happened there. That if you had done that, it would have taken probably the speech to a much higher level. But that does not take away from the fact that you have been highly successful in delivering a very, very important message that we need to reflect on your own action, which may change our perceptions. And that, if you had brought it in your concluding remarks, that would have probably left the message to the audience to think for a long time, how we can change our perceptions by reflecting on our own actions and how people act in a different situations. And another thing you brought about was about feeling proud of our culture, which made that old lady to come with the, somebody who is not connected with her, neighboring lady she brought to the hospital. Also, the doctor who managed 3 bottles of blood on his own. These are the things which you learn, and that message you could have been brought about in your concluding by telling how, by reflecting on our own actions, we can change our perception and become better human beings. Overall, a wonderful speech, and always have been very fond of your storytelling. And I'm sure you'll turn up with an even more interesting story in the coming days. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Was a superb evaluation of how to reflect on our own attitude by DTM MU Bhatt. He summed it up when he says he could have dramatized a little more, but he was making it a point. But everything was in place when it came to storytelling is concerned. To me, storytelling is about a kind of acronym I have formed myself. With respect to that, I always check, and I always make it a point to tell others also. It is 3C pass. A story should have characters, conflict, climax, plot, action, and setting. All were in place. There was conflict. On one side, there was suspense. Will she deliver the baby, or will that mother live? Whether she is going to conduct that operation, but that relative is there, whether she will give consent. Every step of the way there was suspense, and the story was narrated in such a way that it was very gripping, I would say. So evaluation also super, and for that lovely delivery of the speech by the speaker and evaluation by DTM MU Bhatt, let us give a special round of applause for such a high level. Now I'll invite time manager to give his evaluation. Time manager is Toastmaster Arun Das. Mr. Toastmaster Arun Das, please.
Thank you, General Evaluator and fellow Toastmasters. Today's meeting is, I believe it is an ineffable meeting because all the fellow Toastmasters are actually very conscious of the time. So I have a little bit of difficulty in counting and presenting it. So in fact, I made a small presentation. I'll quickly present that. So we started the meeting at 6:35 with the business sessions by our president, Toastmasters Sai Snehal. So Sai Snehal, Toastmasters Sai Snehal took exactly the time which is allotted, 3 minutes, and followed by Sergeant at Arms, DTM Udanka. So again, the time is precisely what was allotted. And the presidential address, including the secretary's report, Secretary Toastmaster Ujjwal, altogether we took about 7 minutes. Then Toastmaster Ujjwal's master of the ceremony, the introduction was about 8 minutes. The first speech by Toastmaster Vijay Upendra was precisely at 7 minutes out of 7, and Toastmaster Arundhati 7 minutes. Going to the table topic sessions, Toastmaster DTM Subramania ensured that the entire time allotted is used. 23 minutes were used out of 25 minutes, and all the speakers spoke more than 1 minute. So everybody got opportunity, I believe. Coming to the general evaluation started at 7:53, and we were supposed to take a break of 5 minutes. It went up to 13.45 minutes. I would request the members who are joining offline, request you to kindly assemble within the time which is allotted. That would actually help us to conduct the meeting better. And coming to the evaluations, so DTM Utanga took about 3 minutes 45 seconds. Then DTM MU Butt about 5 minutes 31 seconds. That's all. Back to the general evaluator. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Arundas. It was very, very impressive bar chart. It really summed up who has overshot, who has done within time, who didn't use the time fully. It was very well visible and very well presented. The only way Toastmasters can appreciate is with a extra special round of applause. We have our counter. Toastmaster Sai Snehal ready. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. Pauses usually come when we try to speak faster than our mind can think. And that's when you use the words or repeated words. The report for today's, as the counter, I have made a following report for today's thing. Let me quickly get started. There are a couple of speakers who have been behind the lectern a couple of times. So I have consolidated their number of pauses and made it into one. Starting with distinguished Toastmaster Udank, who had about 7 hours, Toastmaster Ujjwal, who had 5 hours, Toastmaster Arundas had 3 hours, Toastmaster Shiva 4 hours, DTM MU Bhatt 6 hours, DTM AK Prabhakara 5 hours. The rest of the speakers, Toastmaster Vijay Upendra had 1 hour and 1 repeated word. Toastmaster Dr. Arundhati had 3 hours and 1 repeated words, and plus my repeated words right now. Toastmaster Raghunandana 2 hours and 2 repeated words. Yes, that's about it. Thank you, and back to the general evaluator. You had that multi-starer, multitasking president giving out one more, rolling out one more his evaluation, and all weekend he's he's absolutely amazing when it comes to multitasking. I don't know how he does it, but he does it successfully and all the time correctly. Let's give him a round of applause for that. He deserves more than that. That's the only way we appreciate it, Toastmasters. Then we have PPE evaluation and grammarian evaluation from Toastmaster Shiva Prasad.
Yes. Good evening, Toastmasters. As the PP evaluator, I would say the meeting went on smoothly without too many glitches. And then my report as a grammarian. A lot of good usages today. Unkempt, seed of frustration, intensity of involvement, crab mentality, flying flutter of a butterfly, sub-vocalization, razzmatazz, hammered on, and flamboyant. The not so good usages for today were believe yourself could have been believe in yourself, confidence on yourself could have been confidence in yourself, taken out of her body could have been taken off her body, uh, pick it pick it myself could have been pick it up by myself. That were the things could have been those were the things. As I told could have been as I said, and next speeches could have been upcoming or future speeches. And the word of the day was used by both the prepared speakers, Vijay Upendra and Toastmaster Anand. Thank you, and back to the agenda.
Toastmaster Shiva Prasad for that really nice bookkeeping, I would say. You are a upcoming BCom graduate, or is it RCA you must be doing? Yeah, so you have done a good job there, direct way. Let's give him a round of applause. He's a very young and upcoming Toastmaster. Now I'll give you 20 seconds to give your complete your ballot. Before really completing, I need to evaluate the table topic master. Table topic master DTM Subramaniam. You brought about varied topics, the kind of topic that made the audience think. And one way of making it looking kind of making it professional is announce the topic, call the person or the Toastmaster, and then again announce the topic. So that this is one approach I would suggest. And better to avoid giving your own opinion after the speech. That was a little longish. That can be avoided, I would say. But there are other times you are really trying to give one line, one word opinion about that. That was very, very good, I would say. Like I said, it was very insightful response in one case we wrote, and he didn't elaborate on it. And he took it to the next topic. And that's the way, if it is done, it goes in a very smooth, orderly way, and it gives a professional look for the person who is behind the line. That's all the suggestion I got to say. But everything was in place otherwise, and I like the topic more so because you have put substantial effort behind choosing the topic and directing it to the right person. Let's give a good round of applause to DTM Subramaniam. Now please submit your ballot. On the whole, it was first experience for me as an evaluator, even as a speaker right behind this lecture in a hybrid meeting. It feels unusual being in front of hardly 5 audience, and the rest being in the virtual side. Actually is only 5, but it's still a good experience because we have to get used to this. It's a new way of Toastmasters meeting, but in no way the quality fell short of expectation. Let me put it that way. My experience was very, let us say, uplifting. With that comment or note, I would like to hand over the control back to the master ceremonies of the day, Toastmaster Ujjwal.
Thank you, Rita Mekirabakara. That was an incredible general evaluation. Let us all give him a special round of applause. Before I hand over the charge back to the president, I would like to say that you have got only one life. So enjoy it to the fullest. Explore the world, spend time with your loved ones, and have a life full of memories. With this, I hope you all had a great time in the meeting today, and I hand over the charge back to the President, Toastmaster Sai Snehal.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ujjwal. Wow, what a fantastic meeting it was today. It was very great, and also being the last meeting of the term, it felt very special to me today. Let me quickly get on to the winners of today's meeting. Starting off with the best role taker. Okay, so far we have received about 11 responses and we have 12 audience. If anybody has not voted, I'll just give you 10 or 15 seconds to kindly do so. There's one response that is missing. Has everyone voted here? Okay, with that, yes. Okay, let me quickly get on to the winners of today's meeting. Starting off with the best role taker for MTG, that is the Master of Ceremonies, Table Topic Master, and the General Evaluator. And the winner for today is the one who came here after a very, very long time, Distinguished Toastmaster A.K. Prabhakar. Now going to the best tab G, that is the timer, R counter, parliamentary procedure evaluator, and the grammarian. Before I announce the winner, I would like to mention about the timer for today, who did a fantastic job with a pie chart. Moreover, he applied all his insurance experience here and made it a form of a pie chart. Undoubtedly, he's the winner for today's best role taker for tab G. Please give him a round of applause. Now, coming to the best, let me go on with the best table topic speaker first. The best table topic speaker goes to the one who brings about a chain of events and just aligns it with a very beautiful story. Any guesses? Well, Distinguished Toastmaster A.K. Prabhakar. Now, coming to the best evaluator for today's meeting, we had two wonderful evaluators with their experience and profound knowledge. They've given a wonderful evaluation to the speakers. And the best evaluator for today goes to Distinguished Toastmaster M.U. Bhatt. Please give him a round of applause. Coming to the last winner for the day, that is the best speaker. Both the speakers are here today, and they give wonderful speeches based on their life stories and experiences. The best speaker for today goes to Toastmaster Dr. Arundhati. Well, what a beautiful meeting it was today. Well, the speakers, the role takers, and everybody here deserve a feedback, because feedback is what helps them to grow and learn, to see the place they've started and the place they're currently in. The base camp is the right place to do so. I've received a ton of feedback over the 6 months or 2 years rather, and I've seen the feedbacks I've received from Distinguished Toastmaster A.K. Prabhakar, Arundhati ma'am, Vijay Upendra, Sandeep. Everybody inspires me to make it feel, or rather put my extra step every single time I'm behind the lectern. It gives me that push every time I open Basecamp and just go through it. I urge you all to kindly do the same thing. Give every role taker speaker the feedback they deserve so they can push themselves. You can also watch videos for improvement, which will be shared shortly. We come to the end of today's meeting, also the end of today's term. Before I close, there's an announcement from distinguished Toastmaster A.K. Prabhu.
I'm going to take an extra minute to kind of record or place on record the kind of effort that this committee led by our president Sai Snehal Reddy has put in order to make things happen for us. Whether it comes to giving speeches of value week after week, or putting this hybrid meeting high-tech stuff in place with his team, or even to say that he has something to say to other person in a very polite way, asking for help, seeking help. These seems to be of not much of an effort for him at all. He seems to be a natural leader, only thing he started believing gradually. I remember the day he came here and sat here very tentatively, without anybody asking him to do anything. He started recording, and I asked him once, why is he recording? Quality will not be good. But he says, sir, that is a different kind of camera. It catches and latches to the sound that is coming from one direction and really cuts out other. He is a tech savvy person, and he started putting it in the YouTube. Of course, even much before the advent of the internet and a whole lot of stuff, that meeting that we are putting it online, he was already putting it in YouTube. He brought about a big change, I would say, in that place. All this is required. He embodies what Toastmasters value is about. That is respect, integrity, service, and excellence. Excellence is built into him, and excellence doesn't work if he doesn't have enthusiasm. He has it in plenty, and that made all the difference to the club. For this, I thought I should give him a memento for his keeping, and it represents all the persons who supported him as well. And here is that particular moment I have made it a point to bring. And this is about enthusiasm award. I request him to receive it. This is an original Toastmaster International Award, and I have brought it maybe perhaps long time ago. And this is special one. I wanted him to keep it, and it's something that I value. That's why I made it a point to hand it over to the president, Toastmaster Sai Snehal Reddy.
Thank you so much, distinguished Toastmaster A.K. Prabhakara. I usually have something to say every single time someone appreciates me, but today I feel speechless. Thank you so much, sir. I've been inspired by you. You keep repeatedly telling me excellence is what you do repeatedly, and I've been doing it since the day I've been here. I continue to do the same. Well, we come to the end of today's meeting and also the end of today's term. We had a wonderful term and we made it happen throughout the entire term. With that, I close meeting number 1142 and I request everyone to kindly stand up for national anthem.
Vindhya Himachala Yamuna Shubhaname Jage Tava Shubhashishamaye Ane Tavajaya Janagana Mangaladayaka Jaya He Jaya He Jaya He
Thank you, everyone. See you all next week for the installation ceremony.
Thank you all.